Okay, hey Mary, you want to start sharing it, and I'll freeze this for a second. Still just joining us, welcome to another episode of Never Again Live podcast with Mayor Halevi Weinstein. We have some great guests with us tonight. We'll be transmitting from Toronto to Israel to me down here in South Texas. So without any further ado, let's do a really quick countdown to give you a few more moments to kind of get started. So y'all who are with us before, please do share this on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram, on whatever mechanism you have with this technological world we're in to spread the word as much as we can and help us fight anti-Semitism at israelnow.ca. We'll be interested in our guests shortly, but it's all we know today's episode. As always, stars Mayor Halevi Weinstein as our host, and all our past episodes are available at israelnow.ca. And now we'll officially get started. We're going to talk about Tisha B'Av and the Temple Mount. We all know the history. I'm sure we've all been lamenting and mourning for the past several days. We also look forward to a future that's bright and cheerful and harmonious. We'll talk about our guests a little bit later in the episode. Not to review what we've all been reviewing for several days now. We know about this treacherous day of mourning in history, but we have to keep in mind that as we lament the past and contemplate the present, we also dream of a future with hope, with optimism, of someday a harmonious world. So we have Mayor from Toronto. We have me in our little South Texas studios. And down in South Texas, we like to think of Texas as our own little corner of the universe. Or as we refer to it as, we're the other Lone Star State. Israel has Masada, we have the Alamo. So here we are in this global picture of the world, which seems to be shrinking every day. Me down here in South Texas. We got Mayor up in Toronto. We got some special guests joining us today to talk about the Temple Mount, the temple, and their role in trying to make this happen. We got Akiva Yoel Ariel, who is the public relations for Beyadenu, which is returning to the Temple Mount. He'll be with us shortly to give his perspective.
מדיניות בשטח בנושא הביטחון בהר הבית, מדיניות של הבלגה ופייסנות כדי לא להצית את השטח. ארץ ציון וירושלים. חברים, אנחנו כבר הצלחנו. הר הבית היום הוא נושא שנמצא בלב המיינסטרים הישראלי. אחרי שנים שכולנו תויגנו בתור קיצוניים ומשוגעים, המצב השתנה. זה הזמן שלנו לקחת את הפעילות צעד קדימה. ואני צריך אותך ואותך בדיוק בשביל זה. יש לנו היום מאות תומכים בארגון, אבל זה לא מספיק. אנחנו צריכים להגיע לאלפים ועשרות אלפים כדי באמת להחזיר את הר הבית לידינו. בואו איתי נעלה להר הבית. עוד פעם תעני אותך ככה.
So So if you've not supported them before, please get online and find Beyadenu and support them as our quest to descend upon the Temple Mount anytime, any day we want in the future. After all, it's ours. Also with us, we have a special guest who's been fighting a fight for decades, literally, since I was a teenager. It's Baruch Ben-Yoseph, who's an attorney, who's the chairman of the movement to restore the temple. And just a quick little video from a decade ago to show the fearless fight that he continues.
With matters of the press, matters of government, matters related to the ascent to Har Bayit, to the Temple Mount by women. And later on we have our general meeting inside the Great Synagogue, and there we'll hear more lectures and hear some music related to the temple, and then have the temple meal, what we call the Sudat HaMikdash. This is all in order to raise the awareness to the Temple Mount, and the importance of it to the Jewish people. And it's no accident that it falls out this week when the Arab world wants to create a new Arab country inside the land of Eretz Yisrael, the land of Israel, that we have chosen to hold our temple conference, because it's obvious that the vacuum caused by there being no temple and a lack of Jewish presence on the Temple Mount, that the Arabs called for the creation of a new state.
And we're aware of what's happening right now in Eretz Yisrael, that Israel has made a preemptive strike against those who are threatening us, those who look forward to our demise, those who want to rid us of the universe. And I think just studying a little bit of Talmud, of Haba lehorcha, Hashkem lehorgo. We need to live by these words, because otherwise we'll die without them. Who comes to kill you? Get up early to kill him first. And that's what Israel is doing now. Those making false accusations that Israel invaded for no reason and they're starting a fight. We're not. We're just doing what the Talmud has demanded that we do. And it's always a fight. Pretty much 24/7, 365. And now a word from our sponsor of tonight's episode. Tonight, of course, in Israel, this afternoon in Texas, and a little bit later in Toronto, is a concealed carry talit bag. Don't leave for shul without it. Einstein said, the world is a dangerous place, not because of those who do evil, but because of those who look on and do nothing. Here in Israel now, we don't look on and do nothing. We're proactive, we're active, we're activists, and please join us at israelnow.ca. Because only together, as a group, can we fight anti-Semitism. And now for the mayor moment. And here's Mayor with the mayor moment. Tisha and Temple Mount. Mayor, take it away.
Okay. Want to welcome all our viewers. I'm going to ask everyone if you could please share this with different platforms that you're on, be it Facebook, be it Twitter, Instagram, whatever platform you use, reach a lot more people and have a stronger impact. It's Tisha B'Av. It's early afternoon in Toronto and places in the States, but in Israel, it's already evening time. Just before we get into Tisha B'Av and what's going on with Gaza and the whole situation there, I just want to start off by mentioning a friend passed away Friday night. Chaim Ginsberg, Howie Ginsberg. He was very active in the Jewish Defense League for many, many years. I met him first when I went to yeshiva in Israel in 1980. When I went to Mechon Meir, Howie, he had a yogurt store, little restaurant, takeout in downtown Jerusalem. It used to be a hangout for some of the JDL guys. And every year when I would go to Israel after Rabbi Meir Kahana was murdered, whenever I would go and I would attend the services, especially at the gravesite, Howie would always be there. He had meeting conversations about Aliyah, about the vision of the rabbi, about how life is in Israel. And I always enjoyed my opportunities with him. Last time I saw him 2 months ago, I went to Levi Hazan's store to pick up a walker for Chaim. Health was already failing him. It wasn't so great. And I brought it to his apartment. Barbara, I saw him. I gave him the walker, and I said a few, we were chatting for a bit. And then, as I to Toronto, unfortunately attend and some other things that I have to take care of. Then I was getting messages that his health was deteriorating and in and out of the hospital. Then I heard the news Saturday night after Shabbat that he passed away. I think we have a little clip of Howie. I remember when Robert and the media descended on the office in Jerusalem, and Howie was there, and he was shooing the media out, and he was saying, "You come now when the rabbi is gone, but you were never here when he was alive," and he shooed them out, and I was very proud of him when he did that. If we have that clip, if we could show that, do we have that clip?
If you can stall for about another 4 or 5 minutes, I'll have the clip.
I could. So maybe Baruch could add a little bit about Chaim. If Baruch could come on and say a few words about Chaim. Also, the funeral is today, or it was a number of hours ago.
We had the funeral earlier today. Chaim was buried in the cemetery in Mishor Adumim, which is part of the city Ma'ale Adumim, where he and Barbara lived for many years. Actually, they lived so long in Ma'ale Adumim that you call them maybe part of the original settlement of Ma'ale Adumim. It's expanded so much since they moved there, become one of the biggest cities in Judea and Samaria. In any event, Chaim and I go way back from the time of Jewish Defense League back in the 70s, when we were fighting for Soviet Jewry, fighting anti-Semitism, and spreading the Jewish idea in New York. Howie was he was what we called the adults. The Jewish Defense League had the youth section and had the adult section. He was with the adults. Obviously, I was with the youth. But at the same time, it was we worked together. Whether it was going to fight anti-Semites, we needed the adults to drive us there, to back us up. Because we get into situations you never know. You know how you're going in, you never know how you're coming out.
Right.
And so we always had the adults there with us, backing us up. And we fought all kinds of anti-Semites. Obviously, there was nothing's really changed. I don't know how the situation is today, but back then there was all kinds of anti-Semitism. Jews living in very bad neighborhoods, being attacked by anti-Semites when they would go to shul, or
Funeral services are
Halloween
planned
night,
today.
Halloween
Rabbi
night.
Meir Kahana, one of the police banished protector.
Jerusalem party on reported from
Here it is.
at the headquarters of Kahana's Kach party, where supporters and party members took out their rage and frustration on reporters and cameramen. A spokesman promised that Kahana's war
Here he
against
is.
Arabs would survive him.
For me, it doesn't matter who was this Arab, because we have a fight, we have a war against all the Arabs.
We will do our utmost to see that everybody show restraint in face of this terrible murder.
Israeli police stepped up their patrols through Arab East Jerusalem on alert for possible revenge attacks. It was quiet here, shops shuttered tight in observance of a previously declared strike against.
Yeah, so there was a little, Baruch, you saw Chaim there telling the reporters to get.
I remember that vividly when that happened
Yeah.
back in 1990. The rabbi was killed. Chaim actually, after he closed his store, he went to work for the rabbi running his printing press that he had in the Kach offices in Jerusalem. And he was in charge of the printing the materials. I mean, Rabbi Kahana was known for printing tens of thousands of flyers and leaflets and whatnot, and disseminating them amongst the masses, whether it was to the Israelis from the development towns, or whether it was to tourists going to Yad Vashem, advising them about the potential Holocaust. He was in charge of that, and he did a great job. Howie was a great guy. Howie Chaim was a great guy who really cared about the Jewish people. Every time one of our members was arrested for defending Jews, it always upset him. You could always see the pain that he had when things like that would happen, and be greatly missed.
Absolutely. No question about it. Oh, man. Yeah, absolutely. Wow. Very sad. Very sad. Okay, so it's Tisha B'Av. And there are the threats by Hamas against Jews who were planning to go up to Har Bayit. And I'm reading that reports that over 2,000 Jews made it up today in limited time slots that they're given to go up. Like, who knows how many Jews would really go up if we had proper access to go up. And it's amazing being up there. It's life-changing. In fact, Ben Shapiro went up there today. Also, he's still in Israel, and he has quite an audience. And when the word gets out there and it spreads, Baruch, how do you feel that? You've been with the pushing for the Temple Mount for years and years and years, and you started when there was just a few going up, and there was this consistency to go up in spite of what the naysayers are saying, and now it's catching on. And now you got even people that have wide audiences and that are talking about it, and there's more positive media. There's more people from the Knesset, in fact, that are saying positive things about this. How do you feel when you see now the
Obviously, it's great to see the masses going up there. Like you said, back in the day, 30 years ago, I knew everybody who went up there because there were so few Jews that would go up there. It was ridiculous. Today it's the masses are going up. It's really fantastic when you think about it. But at the same time, it's like sad that it's not to the point already where we're making major steps in the realm of already putting into practice what the Temple Mount is there for. In other words, okay, now it's already, we can pray there. to a certain level, and which is something that we were demanding for years, and now we're doing it. But that's not what the Temple Mount is really for. It's not really for prayer. It's not a synagogue. I mean, let's face it. The Temple Mount is the place of the house of Hashem, of God. But most importantly, this is something that I stress, and it has to be pointed out constantly, is that the Temple Mount is the place for us to serve Hashem, serve God in the way that He commanded us, meaning to build an altar, to offer sacrifices, and to do the daily service that He commanded us. This does not require the building of the temple. This requires the building of an altar of priests of Kohanim serving in their priestly clothes, bringing the animals or the type of offerings that we have to bring, whether it's meal offerings or animal offerings. And this is something that has to be done every day on the Temple Mount. I mean, the problem is that a lot of people, I feel, don't recognize or are unwilling to stress that this is what the Temple Mount is about. This is what it's for, and just to show our presence and to pray is not enough. So it really has to be taken to the next level. You're right that it's not fair that we're treated like tourists and we only have certain hours and so on. But I believe that at least it's in people like myself who have been involved for so many years, is that we have to now stress and work on in any way possible for us to return to the Temple Mount in order to do the service, not just to show our presence, but to rebuild the altar and bring the sacrifices. And then when we do that is when we can already start working on building the temple itself. But we have to, since we were able to do that according to the halakha, according to the Talmudic law brought down by the Rambam Maimonides himself, who clearly states that even though the temple itself is not built, we can still do all the sacrifices. That's very, very important, because that is the sacrifices and the service in the temple is about a third of the entire Torah. And every day that goes by that we don't do that, we are basically omitting a third of the entire Torah. So that's what I think. That's what I think is if we strive to renew the service in the temple, I think then we can see a major shift in the entire status of the Temple Mount and our sovereignty there.
But shouldn't we have one step before all that also? One necessary step, I think, to throw Hamas supporters completely off the Temple Mount. It's off limits for them. Banners up there calling for of Jews have to be ripped up, and it can't exist on the Temple Mount. The enemies of the Jewish people should be forbidden for being up on the Temple Mount. Shouldn't be a step before what you're saying, Baruch.
I agree that it's very important what you're saying, but I believe that there can't be a vacuum. In other words, they go up to the Temple Mount believing that it's theirs, and they come up in the tens of thousands, the hundreds of thousands. That would be nothing would make me more happy than keeping them off the Temple Mount. But if we're not doing what we're supposed to do with the Temple Mount, then it's kind of like, well, why are you demanding to remove them from the Temple Mount? In other words, it's got to be that we are doing our thing, and therefore, since we're doing our thing, then they shouldn't be there. But just to throw them off and for us not to do what we have to do is, I don't think it's going to accomplish anything. I mean, I think it's a nice idea, but I think really we have to show that we plan and intend on using the Temple Mount for its true and ultimate purpose. And
Right.
without that, and I think that there are a lot of people that go up to the Temple Mount, or people that are pro going up to the Temple Mount, pro showing sovereignty on the Temple Mount, but at the same time, I'm not sure. It's not clear to me that their goal is to renew the temple service, like we're discussing here. I mean, for a lot of people, I think it's enough that we build a synagogue on the Temple Mount or some kind of edifice, and that's enough for them. But I say that unless we restore what we're supposed to be doing there, then it's like a non-starter. We're not ever going to get to the point where we have the right to demand and act on throwing all these Jew-hating, Hamas loving Arabs off the Temple Mount. I think it's got to be that we are going to use and on the Temple Mount for its true purpose, and that's really something that's missing. A lot of people, there are groups of Jews who still say you can't go up to the Temple Mount for whatever reason. Okay, they say we don't know where the temple stood, we're impure, all kinds of excuses. But the fact of the matter is that if we were doing the service,
they say we're impure and everything like that, but Hamas is fine to be on the Temple Mount.
right?
I mean, it's ridiculous.
It's totally ridiculous. But if we're doing the service to Hashem, then all these excuses, like we're impure and all these other excuses, are irrelevant, because we're now serving on the Temple Mount. The whole matter of impurity doesn't apply anymore, because impurity only exists when we're not serving Hashem on the Temple Mount. We're serving Hashem. The impurity is then canceled. It doesn't exist, and we can do the service, bring the sacrifices every day, and then people are obligated to come up. So it's like it's to me, it's if we're now implementing the service on the Temple Mount, we then have a right to come and say, well, you know what? Since we're now using the Temple Mount for its true purpose, these people who really shouldn't be there, and their religion is a fake religion. It's a religion of idolatry, like all other religions except Judaism. Therefore, they should be removed from the Temple Mount. That's what I feel. I feel that if we don't do what we're supposed to do, then we have a very hard claim of removing those people that shouldn't be there.
All right, let's bring on Akiva Ariel from Beyadenu. He was there. He's the younger generation. They're doing incredible work. Akiva, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, how are you doing?
Good. That last half an hour of the fast after being out there.
You'll make it.
Yeah.
So Akiva, big day today. You were there early. Very early.
Yeah, wow. Wow, actually I was there at night.
Yep.
I got there in the middle of the night.
Okay.
And already people were waiting at the entrance to Temple Mount from mid and going on. People started sitting and reading Echa and reading Kinot and waiting for the Temple Mount to be open. By the time the Temple Mount was open, I think there was already 1,000 people waiting at the entrance to go in. So many people, so everybody it's stuff you only started seeing this year. It's so exciting to see so many people go up the Temple Mount and going around. I went up a bit. I let other people go up before me, but then I went up with one group, and we were able to daven like as you daven on the Temple Mount. Actually, we got kicked off in the middle of the visit of the ascent because we started singing. We were singing Emeshkachech, and the police didn't like it, so they threw us out a bit violently from the Iron Gate, which is a bit a few days before we're supposed to be. So that's how
So
my
you're singing, and the Hamas supporters are screaming Allah Akbar and Khyber Khyber, and
yeah.
you're
Actually,
screaming, and the police
they
and you're
did.
singing, and the police are coming up to you.
Yeah, they did. We went up, and by the mosque on the south, they were screaming at us, and our Akbar and everything. We tried to respond a bit, but it was more quietly. But when we started singing, so they took us out.
Right.
But that's like small stories. Like people got banned and stuff, and it's like we still have a way to go, but really the numbers are so exciting. The numbers is the big thing.
What are
The big
what are the conversations that you're having with people? Because you set up a table at the entrance before they all get in. So what is like now compared to in the past from Jews, and with these numbers climbing, what kind of progress are you noticing?
Where I really see it's people from all over Israel, like different people from different places, from all over Israel. They're just coming. It just became something that you do that. You come on Tisha B'av, you come on Jerusalem Day, you come on Chol HaMoed, you come to the Temple Mount. It's like it's something in your checklist that you have to do, and it's it's part of the mainstream now. And it's not only when Baruch was going up. If like take Baruch as an example, when he went up, it was a small group of like he said he knows everybody. Today that's not the story. Today it's a mainstream. Everybody goes up. It's wonderful. It's great progress.
Unbelievable. It's unbelievable to see this. And I mean, when I was up there on Yom Yerushalayim, and I saw the amount of people who were coming up and the conversations up, it just seems like the Jews want to take it to another level. The Jews are amazed by being on Har Bayit, that it's elevated status compared to when you're at the Kotel. When Kotel, absolutely special there. But the moment you go up to the Temple Mount, you realize that the Kotel was the retaining wall of the temple, and that's what it was. And being up on the Temple Mount, that's where it is, and that's where the future is, and that's where the construction has to start for the proper Jewish future there. And I just see more and more Jews are getting it. Need proper leadership in Israel to start implementing it. How many Jews would you say were not allowed to go up today? You know, like in Yom Yerushalayim, I think over 1,000 Jews couldn't go up just because time constraints. I mean, they only say early in the morning you could have access for maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours, and everybody's waiting in groups in a line, and they don't let everybody up at the same moment or anything like that. And then in the afternoon, you got similar hour and a half, 2 hours or something like that. So today, how many would you say were not able to ascend?
Well, today in the morning, everybody that came was able to go up, was able to ascend to Temple Mount.
Okay.
Actually, a lot of it because from Jerusalem Day, we were pressuring. We laid out a document with showing what did the police do bad on Jerusalem Day, and how can you fix it. And we went out to the media, and we went to Knesset members, and we did a lot of pressure that the police would understand they need to learn from their mistakes, and they did. They made sure that there would be a shade in the morning at least, all the thousands of people waiting, there was shade, and they had approximately 7 groups at one time on the mountain. I saw another other group, the group before us, walking in front of us. They didn't let us continue because they were so close to us. And the next level, we're going to cancel that, and everybody's going to go up together. But so, so many groups together, you can see the other group. That's something that I don't remember something like that. They really learned. They learned from their mistakes, and because of that, in the morning, everybody that came to Temple Mount was able to go up. It's a bit hard. Some people just got there late. They're at the last minute. If you get, and so they closed it. So there were a few people I saw, like a group of people that they couldn't go, that they missed the time because it's only for an hour and a half that you can go up. So they missed it and they couldn't go up the Temple Mount, unfortunately. But that's a small story, and we're gonna change that too. We're gonna change it, and we want the Temple Mount to be open for more hours. That the stuff that won't happen. But it was much better than Jerusalem Day, and the police really learned, and they fixed, and there's a lot more to fix, but it was big.
How many gates are there that the Muslims have access to the Temple Mount through? How many gates do they have?
You have 9 gates.
You have 9 gates. What kind
There are
of
10
access
gates.
hours do they have? 10 gates.
They have access. They have 9 gates. There's 10 gates.
Right.
1 gate is for the Jews and the tourists.
Right.
9 gates are for the Arabs. They have access all day long.
So they have
24,
access
24/7.
unrestricted, and we have access like an hour and a half.
No, they have access 5 days a week. You have approximately 4 hours.
About 4 hours, 5 days a week. And they have 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Yep.
This, Monty Gore said those words, Beyadenu, hours. It's just
Okay, but you have to look at go back historically, and from the 6-Day War, basically the Jews gave the Temple Mount, handed it back to the Arabs, told the Arabs that we have no intention of doing anything with it. Go back to doing what you were doing all along, and the government, Rabbi Goren at the time, who was the chief rabbi of the Israeli army, had wanted to already institute prayers on the Temple Mount, and the defense minister at the time, Moshe Dayan, had him thrown off the Temple Mount, and basically said that this is not going to be used as a site for Jewish prayer or service or ritual. It's a Muslim site and not a Jewish site. Jews can have access as tourists, and that's what's been since then. That was the status quo, what they call. So at the
that's sort of
time,
like the
there was
policy. Yeah.
there was no Jewish movement at the time to demand equal rights or anything on the Temple Mount. There was no movement. There was one rabbi who didn't have any support of any other rabbis, and he was the chief rabbi of the army, so he had to do what the army told him. In fact, when he was on the Temple Mount during the 6-Day War, he told the commander of the Central Command of the Israeli Army, General Uzi Narkis, he said, "This is our opportunity to get rid of the mosques. Let's call in an airstrike from the Air Force, And Uzi Narka said to him that if you don't shut up, I'm going to have you arrested. So, in other words, bottom line, the Jews were never ready to take back the Temple Mount, didn't know what to do with it, and handed it back to the Arabs because the Arabs knew what to do with it. You know,
It seems like it sort of seems like the thinking, same kind of thinking went into the disengagement from Gaza. Let's throw the Jews out of their settlements, hand to the Muslims, the PA, whatever you want to say, give them the keys, everything for Gaza, no problem. And strangely, I mean, who would be able to predict, right? That Hamas and Islamic Jihad and all these terrorists would be firing rockets at Israel. I mean, won't they be satisfied if we just give the Gaza with the Greece and with everything else? That would satisfy them, wouldn't it? They'd be happy with that.
Well, again, you see, I think to make it very clear to the people listening in, watching this show, to really understand the situation. It was pointed out today on Israeli radio when it was discussing the action that the Israeli army is conducting in the Gaza Strip, right as we speak, against the Islamic Jihad terrorist organization, and the fact that it's Tisha B'Av and there are thousands of Jews who want to go up to the Temple Mount. So the Israeli press on the national radio said, well, I mean, shouldn't we prevent the Jews from going to the Temple Mount because that will only incite the Arabs even more, and we want to try to, finish the campaign in the Gaza Strip and have a ceasefire. So one of the experts that they brought on, this woman who's an expert on the Muslims or whatever, she says, our goal is to keep the conflict to be a conflict between Israel and the Arab states on a level of we're fighting over the turf. This cannot be turned into a religious war. This is what they're afraid of. The Israeli official policy is don't turn this into a war of religions, a war of beliefs. Let's keep it, we're fighting, we want this land. This land is, we call it the land of Israel. They call it the land of Palestine, and this is what we're fighting over. Whereas Hamas and Islamic Jihad and even the so-called secular, Fatah, they all believe that this is a religious war, that this is a jihad, which is a holy war. They understand that this is a war of religions, of beliefs. And that's what Rabbi Kahana always stated. He said that's where the Israelis fail and they will never understand what this whole conflict is about. He really clearly said it's a war between, is Hashem the God of the world, or is Allah the God of the world? Who controls the world? And that's really what it is. And the Temple Mount proves that. In other words, unless we do what we're supposed to do with the Temple Mount, then they're right. Allah's the God of the world. And if we do what we're right, then Hashem, He's the God of the world. And that's what it boils down to. It's not a war of turf over turf. It's a war over beliefs and religion. So nothing surprises me with the Islamic Jihad and Hamas, because they're here to prove that Allah is the God of the world.
Yep. 100%. 100%. That's what they say on the Temple Mount too. Allah Akbar. That's what they say.
Right.
That's what they say when they fire rockets at Israel. Allah Akbar. They're not interested in. They could have Palestine before the '67 war, when Jordan controlled Judea and Samaria. No. They want it all. They don't want Jews to have any sovereignty. That's what it's all about. They want us to be dhimmis. That's, according to them, what Islam stands for, and and as their name is, Islamic Jihad. That's what it is. And remarkably, the government allows workers to come in from Gaza into Israel, those who voted for Hamas. You got the same thing in Judea and Samaria, people who support, and the majority of people who live there in Judea and Samaria who are Arabs or Muslims support Hamas. There's no polls that'll show that they support Hamas. And we're letting them come in to Israel proper to work or into the different settlements to work. And we start wondering, why are there terrorist attacks? It's no wonder.
Well, the idea the Israelis think that by giving them work, that will calm them down because they need the they need the work because the Hamas can't provide for them jobs. So the Israelis provide for them jobs, and they support tens of thousands of families. And so by doing this, they don't want to. By having a conflict, then Israel closes the borders, and all these people are prevented from working. So they think that they can, like Rabbi Khan used to say, buy off Arab nationalism by giving them indoor toilets and a steady job. That's a nice belief, but it's totally untrue. I mean, in the end, because they believe in Allah and they're fanatics and they're extremists. In the end, they don't really care. The bottom line is, if they'll go to war, and they'll give everything up. In fact, they as far as they're concerned, they'll commit suicide if they can get rid of the Jews and throw us out of here and never see us again. So there's no talking to these people. There's no dealing with them. There's no compromise, and there's no negotiations. It's all ridiculous. The only thing that will prove to them that they have nothing to do here, that Allah is not God, is for us to take back the Temple Mount, do what we're supposed to do, and believe me, if that happened, then we'd have world peace. That's what would bring world peace.
Yep.
The Jews serving Hashem on the Temple Mount, rebuilding the temple, doing the sacrifices, that will bring world peace. That will straighten things out. Nothing else.
No, it's interesting. The naivety.
And that would occur because that would be unbelievable too. Unbelievable.
I think that's how naive all the progressives are sitting there thinking that Hamas wants peace and that we're the culprits of all this hate. So I'll show just a quick little video while our kids are away learning how to swim and play ball. This is what Hamas summer camps do.
Hamas is destroying the future of young Palestinians. This summer, millions of children around the world will spend their days creating lifelong memories. We all know from our own experiences that summer is a magical time, spent in exploration, vacation, and family. Meanwhile, in Gaza, Hamas summer camps are creating a dangerous reality for Palestinian children. While other children enjoy the beach, go camping, or play sports, thousands of young Palestinians, some of them as young as 8, will participate in military drills where they will be using live ammunition. They'll learn how to assemble weapons and simulate how to assassinate and kill Israeli civilians. Most disturbingly, they threaten the dreams, well-being, and the future of the next Palestinian generation. Hamas summer camps are nothing more nor less than a form of child abuse.
Yeah, to us, we call it child abuse. To them, they say this is the greatest thing.
Why not? Why shouldn't they be doing it? This is, I mean, to be honest with you, if their goal, like I said, they don't care about their people, and as far as they're concerned, they'll all commit suicide if they can get rid of us. So what do they care? Why should that surprise us? That really, again, it doesn't bother me one iota, because, like I said, the second that we take back the Temple Mount and do what we're supposed to do, they're gone. They're irrelevant. What's relevant? That's why I said to you, your question. I mean, you proposed a good question to me. Like, shouldn't we first get rid of them? No, I mean, like I said, they're irrelevant. I mean, they'll be gone in a second. The second that they know that we're going to do what we're supposed to do. It's funny. I remember what Bin Laden said. He said, we attack the Jews because they don't serve God that was like they were commanded to do in the Bible, and we don't do our job. So what do we expect? They're only there to attack us because we're not doing what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to do as the Jewish people. The second that we start serving what we're supposed to be, we do what we're supposed to do as the Jewish people, we've changed the entire dynamic. Everything changes. It's the paradigm shift. But that's when we decide to do what we're supposed to do. Unfortunately, most Jews don't want to do that. They'd rather keep the status quo of exile Judaism that doesn't have a temple, doesn't have sacrifices, doesn't have a Sanhedrin, doesn't have a king, doesn't have the Temple Mount. And as far as they're concerned, like a lot of Jews, they can just live outside the land and ignore the tremendous steps of redemption that are occurring. So it all boils down to one thing: do we take back the Temple Mount and do what we're supposed to do, or do we continue what's going on now?
No, listen, but but I mean, you see it too. That there's a movement of awareness in the right direction. Seems that the redemption could come like that if we all did the right steps, and it's pretty basic what the right steps are. It doesn't seem that. It just seems that you gotta give our people a spoonful at a time, and like baby steps is what's going. But nonetheless, moving in the right direction. I mean, when you see the numbers and the conversations, uh, it's taken a while, but it's a topic, and when we're going to see it come to fruition, I don't know. I'd like it to see. Really, it should have happened today on Tisha. That's the meaning of Tisha B'av. We mourn the destruction of the temples. We have it in our hands. I'm not exactly sure what we're mourning when we have it in our hands and we could build. So
it was interesting that you say that, Mayor. Recently, I was in the settlement where my son lives, called Otniel. The rabbi of the settlement is Rabbi HaKohen, Re'em HaKohen, who goes up to the Temple Mount. And in fact, many of the settlers in that settlement go up to the Temple Mount. And he stated clearly in his class on Shabbat that we are not lamenting the two previous temples that were destroyed. That's a mistake. We're lamenting the third temple that hasn't been rebuilt. That's what we're lamenting. Because every generation that goes by and the temple is not rebuilt, it's as if we destroyed the temple. So therefore, this is what we're lamenting today on Tisha B'av, that we have yet to build the third temple. And we have to get that through our heads. We're not lamenting something that we never saw, existed thousands of years ago, and we don't plan to rebuild what we had then. We want to build what was planned for the third temple, which is something totally different than the first two. And we have to internalize that.
I have to
let Akiva say a final word.
I'm gonna let Akiva jump in because he's gonna be got to get to something.
Take it away.
Right. Akiva, go ahead.
Okay, I'm gonna just say thank you for hosting and let me join and talk about the Temple Mount. And לשנה הבאה בירושלים הבנויה to בית המקדש. Hope it's the last Tisha B'av we need to fast.
Akiva, what kind of support are you getting? Are you getting support? Are people donating?
Yes. Actually, our fundraising is going very well. We're up to like almost 80% of our fundraiser, and people are helping us. We actually even were able to set up a 501. So Americans.
Right.
If you want to, so just search for Beyadenu, and or you can put the link in the description or something. And I'll be very happy if anyone can help us to support us and support the redemption of the Temple Mount. And thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us, Akiva.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Baruch, where'd Baruch go?
Yeah, I'm here.
There's Baruch.
I'm here.
Good.
Here I am.
All right.
All right, Mayor, thanks
Well-
for having me on. Thanks for having me on. Keep up the good work.
Thank you, Baruch.
And,
I'll see you when
hope you-
I'll see you when I get back.
Okay,
When I get back.
can't wait. I still owe you
Listen,
a visit on the Temple Mount.
well, that's good. And I got a little barbecue at my place there, Mole Demim. So when I come back, I'll cook up some steaks for us.
All right, can't wait.
Sound good? Good.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Take care.
Well, let me thank everyone for joining us. Another episode of Never Again Live. Please share this on different social media platforms that you're with. This is where it's at, as was demonstrated today. Thousands of Jews went up to the Temple Mount. We have limited time periods to go up. I mean, think about it. Access something like 8 o'clock in the morning or something like that. You got to get through Jerusalem traffic to get there. You got to stand past security, stand in line, wait in the sun. There's some people who are waiting since 6 o'clock in the morning to get access. But if you're a Muslim, you could. There's 9 gates. No one's stopping you through anything. No security checks. No nothing. I'm not even sure what they're checking the Jews for at the security checks to go onto the Temple Mount. If you're Muslim and you're going up there, no security checks. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. There's got to be some changes, and there will be changes, because even the temporary prime minister right now, Yair Lapid, in theory, he supports that Jewish prayer should take place on the Temple Mount. Now, he's a secular guy. Maybe the light will go on one day for him, and just out of he'll say down now. But I do see more and more Jews going up, which is positive. More and more conversations about it. More and more members of Knesset talking about it. That's moving in the right direction. So hopefully by next year, either Yom Yerushalayim or Tisha B'Av, we'll see dramatic changes by then. But there is absolutely no excuse for any security official in Israel to permit Hamas flags and banners and the chanting of death to Jews on the Temple Mount. It should never be. No self-respecting security official in Israel should at all permit that to take place. That should never, ever be. I want to thank everyone for joining us. We have a lot of work to do. There's, again, we're working on a campaign to have the Palestinian Authority representative for her anti-Semitism, for her incitement on social media. In 2007, a previous Palestinian Authority representative of Canada also spread through social media anti-Semitism, and she was ousted. We want the same thing to happen now. She goes so far to say that Israel is worse than COVID. Israel is evil. Israel is the whole list. She's taking selfie pictures with a BDS leader who goes into Jewish communities to harass Jews, who just recently was holding a sign saying there's a Palestinian Holocaust caused by the Zionists. This is who she associates with. And her message is fully anti-Semitic, so we're working on that. There's a lot of work to do. There's always campaigns. We've had some great successes as well with the campaigns we did. Convince Larry Tenenbaum from the Scotiabank Arena to use the proceeds from the Roger Waters performance there. Larry Tenenbaum took the proceeds and forwarded it to Israeli charities in the state of Israel. So, so we had some success there with that campaign. There's a lot of different campaigns, but we're on many campaigns right now, and I encourage everyone, get involved with Israel Now. Be it whether you want to make a donation, go on our website, israelnow.ca, or if you want to volunteer, we could use the help. If you want to help out with intelligence and research, just send us an email. We'll get in touch with you. We'll put you to work. And I want to thank everyone for joining us. So thank you very much. And if we have possibly a song that we end with.
Yeah, I think that, always, there's always
Tikva is more appropriate for Tisha B'Av.
This is how BDS responded to recently. I don't know if people have already seen this video, but this is how we respond to those groups, those bands, those spokespeople who think they shouldn't perform in Israel. So let's do this. Then we'll do a little of Aliyah with a kippah, and then we'll close with Hatikva as always. So here's a little music to close out our show with. Mayor, getting the final word while I queue up Akiva.
Well, I want to thank everyone for joining us. Said before, please share this on your various different platforms that you're with. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We'll reach a lot more people. Share this. We're definitely going to send this out. So when after it's uploaded to YouTube, we'll send this out as an email blast. So else has an opportunity to watch it. With lots of work to do. So please make a contribution. IsraelNow.ca. Thank you very much.
נפש יהודי הומייה ותן מזרח קדימה עין לציון צופיה עוד לא אבדה תקוותנו שנות אלפיים להיות עם חופשי בארצנו ארץ ציון ירושלים להיות עם חופשי בארצנו ארץ ציון Shalom